Hi there.
Hi. Every time. It's ridiculous every single time, but I thoroughly love it. Hello, Sabrina. How are you?
Hi, Nathan. I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You've been on holiday.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I already forgotten about it.
Oh, no. Was it a nice holiday, though?
Yeah, it was a very nice holiday. I was to mountains. I was to the seaside. I got tanned. But yeah, it's over.
We've had a series of a few catastrophes. We started this series out in great earnest, and we got 6 episodes in, and then we kind of ground to a halt. Technical problems, like the audio didn't work, and so we got delayed, and then Facebook kicked us out, so we just abandoned it. And then last week I had things going on that I couldn't really get out of, and so anyway, we're here. If you want to make a comment, what I would say is the best ways to do it. I should change this actually, because now we go to another platform as well. But basically, if you go to wpbuilds.com/live, then you will be able to use Google. If you're logged into your Google account, YouTube in other words, you can comment over there. Alternatively, go to our Facebook group, wpbuilds.com/Facebook, or you can just go to facebook.com/wpbuilds, the other way around, and that's the page, the Facebook page, which allows you to comment. So if you're in, I'm sorry we're late. It always makes people drop right off, but so where did we get to, Sabrina, in our exploration of plugins from 0 to 10,000? Where are we at?
I'm thinking it's been a long time. Maybe some of the people who are watching us right now, they don't even remember what it's all about. And also
Correct.
We might have some new people watching us. So would you like to tell a bit what we're doing here?
Yeah, okay. I'll give it a quick summary. So Sabrina and I, a couple of months ago, I can't remember how we fell into this conversation, but we fell into a conversation about the fact that Sabrina is launching, or had launched, a plugin called Speedguard, and you can go and find it at the wp.org repo. Just search for Speedguard and you'll find it. And coincidentally, at the I am helping Tom Carlos with his A/B split test plugin. So he's on the sort of development side, and I'm on the kind of marketing and helping out messaging side. And it just kind of occurred to us that lots of people are developers and they've built these wonderful plugins, but perhaps don't have a great deal of insight into how to get people to notice their plugin. There are about 12.5 trillion plugins on the wp.org repo, so it's hard to stand out. So how do you do that? And so we've had a journey, and I have to say we come from a point of ignorance. This isn't us trying to teach anybody anything. It's basically Sabrina helping me with things that she thinks about a week in advance to put thoughts into our heads. What are the things that we ought to be thinking about? What might make the messaging clearer? How do you discover who your ideal customers are? How do you get to your ideal customers? And so we talked about all of that and created sort of like avatars, if you like. That's the word I use for it, but kind of customer personas and how to message to them. And then we got into documentation as a form of promotion. And that's kind of where we left off last time, if I remember rightly. And so you're going to take us in a brand new direction now, I think.
No, not really. And also just to add a bit, as some of the people who already been there, who already made their plugins or themes a success and have a nice number of installs for their paid or free plugins, so they are watching us. We're asking sometimes, what do they think about the things that we discuss? And they have been so nice to give us some nice ideas how to proceed with our plugins, how to do things better, and we're asking for the feedback in our episodes.
Yes.
So I think that the last episode we discussed how to make like multi-purpose content that will serve for different purposes, as onboarding content for people who just installed your piece of software, or Also, for those who never heard about your plugin, but they found themselves, for example, on your blog or somewhere else, the type of content that you can like reuse or repurpose for different goals.
Yeah.
And the idea was that me and Nathan will write at least 3 pieces of such content. But
as with all great laid plans.
Right. So my plugin Speedguard, it monitors site speed every day using page speed insights API, and it sends you a notification in case it's not good. So the idea for me was to write down like few pieces with the essential questions that I think are essential, that I suppose people who will install Speedguard might have. For example, how fast your website should be. Why test largest contentful paint instead of testing full load time? What types of pages or what types of content on your website you should test? So that was the idea. But for now, I did just one piece. It's about how fast your website should be. And I wrote it down. I put it on my blog. And let me show you.
Yes, please. I'll make sure that it comes on. 1 second. Let's
Yeah,
see.
give me a second.
I've got a blank screen. I wonder what's gone wrong. There we go. Gremlins are gone. That's perfect.
Yeah. So I wrote this down. How fast should a website load in 2020? And here is the answer that I think how fast it should be loading, right? So I put this on my blog. Also, inside the plugin, I included this. Give me a second. It's white screen right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I can just see a white screen surrounded. Yeah,
okay.
There we go. We're back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I made this small part over here called important questions. There.
Great idea.
Yeah. So I put the link over here. So inside the interface of the plugin, right, when you are testing your website speed, you have on your right the important questions section, where one of the questions is displayed. How fast should the website load in 2020? And the following articles will be added over here too. So that was the idea. I've done 1 of 3. I really hope I'll have some time to add more. Have you done anything, Nathan?
No, I'll be really honest. I know I'm really hopeless. I've been sort of slightly busy with. Oh, you've taken your screen off. Shall I take it away? No, it's okay. There we go. I have been slightly busy with some other things, shall we say, organising various things, which I won't talk about here, but I will talk about elsewhere. But no, I've been really bad. But I think that what we just saw, that was really clever, putting your little articles inside the plugin interface. Do you know what? It really annoys me if I feel I'm being upsold really badly inside of a plugin. In other words, if I see adverts and obvious links to, well, I don't know, just full-on promotional stuff. But that's not what you've done. You've written an article which is long and helpful and thoughtful, and is going to get them out of a hole and answers lots of questions, and you've linked to that, and that just, to me, speaks volumes. You know, they're the kind of things that I like to see. It gives me, well, how to describe it? I like it when I get the feeling that somebody actually cares about the product that they've launched, and especially with WordPress plugins, where you never get to usually meet these people. You just have to kind of trust that they're honest and reliable, and if you choose to start using their stuff, that they will keep developing it and be interested in it for the long term. And that kind of stuff demonstrates it in spades. Congratulations. Good idea.
Thank you. Can I share it once again, please?
Of course.
I'll show you something else. You just mentioned that like we don't often have to see, we don't often get a chance to see the people whose plugins we are using and whose work we like, right? So I added another part here. You see the widget on the right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is the suggestion to leave a review on WordPress.org repo and to contribute to the translation of my plugin. And I added my name and my face there. And I don't know, I find it like really exciting to have this. You know, that's actually the topic that I wanted to discuss today. I saw this question about being personal and like sharing your face, your name, and like connecting your business with your personality and with your personal life, you know. I saw this question on Quora. Someone asked, you probably saw many times, the same question asked many times all over the internet.
Yeah.
When it's all right, when it's okay to call yourself a founder. And it like really touched me, this question. Really, when it's all right to call yourself a founder of something, you know?
Yeah. Can I just ask, before we get into that subject, your screen's gone dark again, so I'll just take it off for a second.
Yeah.
Just yell if you want to put your screen back on again. When I launched this podcast, I didn't like putting my face anywhere. And if you've been following this podcast for any length of time, you'll know that my avatar until about, I don't know, a year ago or something was just like this cartoon picture. And then I can't remember who it was, but somebody finally said to me, look, just lose the cartoon picture and put your own image there because it's more likable. And in the end, I just thought, okay, I didn't really like it. Didn't really want to be seen. I don't know. I just thought it was a bit, I don't know what the word is. Anyway, I didn't wish to do it. And then I did it and I got over it. And I realized actually it's not that bad because it's quite helpful in many ways. So, you know, when I went to some WordCamp events, people were happy to come up to me because they'd seen that picture and they made a connection and it didn't feel weird at all. They'd just come and say, oh, you're Nathan. Yeah, I am. Hello, that's lovely to meet you, and so on. So for me, it was a really difficult thing to do. I didn't like doing it. In fact, I felt horrible about doing it and I really racked my brains about it. But in the end, I went for it and it was fine. And I'm sure that's probably the case for quite a few people. You know, they want to maintain a bit of anonymity, which is fine. But I would say there's definite upsides to losing that anonymity if you can.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking this too. I mean, I never heard the story. Like, I was all right to use my name from the very beginning, and I always wanted people to know about me. No, it's not like this. It's always struggle for people, especially when you're just starting something out. You know, when other people like. It's not that you're very, very well known and you just cannot avoid doing this. But when it's the question of your choice, I can see a lot of people struggling like this. I was in the same situation as well, even with my personal website. A few years ago, I had this thought, or I read it somewhere in the book. You know, when you read something smart, you always tend to think that it was your original thought. So I read it somewhere that unless the work that you've done is not listed and is not shown, it's like it never exists, you know?
Yes.
So I was doing some work, I was doing some exciting work, but I never got it like described or listed anywhere. And I was thinking it might be a good idea to just make a list of some stuff I'm doing, or just describe what I'm doing. And then was a question, okay, where should I put it? Maybe, should I have my personal website? All right, okay, how should I call it? And I was like, I was thinking about this for so long, how should I call my personal website, you know? And I had all kinds of ideas, like how to call my personal website. And then I saw my brother's, he's a DJ. I saw my brother's website and it was called, my brother's name is Heidi, his last name is Zeidan, just like mine. And his website was called HeidiZeidan.com.
It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. That might be the thing, you know? I can call my personal website sabrinazeidan.com.
Yes.
That's all right. To call a website by your name.
Yes.
It's totally fine. It's nothing. I had this feeling like it's not very like polite. I don't know.
No, I do know what you mean. It kind of feels a bit, it on some level it feels a little bit boastful, doesn't it? It feels like you're sort of promoting yourself. It is interesting though. A lot of the people who I know who push out content in the WordPress space, you know, I just think it works if you present your own, if you're willing to present your personality and who you are. You know, you don't have to reveal, you don't have to be boastful about it. You don't have to reveal anything about your personal life. You don't have to have your own domain name under your own actual name. It could be something completely different. But I think it's a good step to get out there and push yourself out. But I to this day still find it very hard to mention anything I'm doing. I don't know why that is, but you know, if I'm doing something, I usually preface it with an apology or say something very quickly and then just back away. An example would be I've got this event coming up fairly soon. Look, I just wanted
to mention it.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to mention it because I don't think it's the right place. But the point was, I really should be promoting it. It would be incredibly clever of me to promote it quite a lot. But I somehow seem to be largely unable to do it. And rather than do that, I just mentioned it once in a Facebook post, and that's it. That's all I've done. And I don't know what that is, but...
So the event we're talking here about is called Page Builders Summit. It's going to take place on the first week of October. And Nathan,
thank you.
Yeah, Nathan is organizing it. And I've just seen the lineup of speakers just like before we went live. I was looking at lineup of speakers, and it's just fantastic. I don't know, it's really, really cool. You should check it out.
Thank you. That's really kind of you to promote. But there you go. There is a sort of slight dilemma, right? So you were talking about when are you a founder? My problem there is overlaps with that a lot, in that I think it's quite nice to do things, but for reasons that I can't explain, I find it quite hard to tell people about it, because I feel sometimes that makes me come across as boastful or what have you. So I've got to tread this line. And for me, putting out content with WP Builds, that's kind of easy because I just push it out and it's fairly, it comes out each week, and it's mostly, a lot of it's quite automated, you know, systems take it up and what have you. But tricky to be promoting it. But I guess if you're going to launch a commercial plugin or a plugin that you wish to be successful on the .org repo, it would be helpful to get out of that. And I know people in our community who are very, very, very good at promoting things, and I don't detect anything weird about it when they do it at me. I just think, oh look, there they are promoting their stuff at me. I don't think it's weird at all. I think good on them. That's great. Look, they're showing me how it all works and everything. But for some reason, I struggle with that. And do you?
I do, of course. I'm a normal person.
Yeah.
Of course.
I think though that normal people, there are some normal people who don't have those inhibitions. They're just very good at promoting whatever it is they need to promote, whether that's themselves or their event or their plugin. They just have that DNA. They're just really good at it. And I think I have a different DNA, and my DNA is a bit more. I'll just say it once and then walk away. You know.
Don't you think that this is the question of how many times they've been doing this?
Maybe.
I mean, when you do this for the very first time, like I can remember my feelings when I registered the domain name with my name. It was like, I don't know. It was a holiday. It was a celebration. I should admit, I was overthinking this, maybe, but it was like a huge event for me. And for example, like first talk, it was like huge event. Like it was something like unreal. It felt unreal. But after 6 or 7 talk, it feels normal. Just like the first episode of the show. Do you remember? I was so nervous. I spilled
Yes.
water on myself and I couldn't move because
Yes.
we already started, and I was so nervous. And you told me that just wait a few episodes and you'll be fine. You'll be comfortable with doing this. I think this is the same thing with like not even promoting things, but connecting things you're working on, or you have like connecting something you're working on with yourself and with your face and with your name, you know?
Yeah. I think some of us are really good at that and others struggle with it. It's a struggle for me. I don't see it as a particularly bad thing, because in some respects I quite like that I behave like that. But I think if I'm going to launch things commercially, the real world needs me to be a bit more shouty and a bit more kind of assertive, shall we say, and just promote things because I'm being helpful. You know, I've got something which could actually be of use to you, and here it is, and I'm going to explain it. I don't know why. Yeah, it's very strange. It's psychology. We're getting into the realms of psychology. It's a bit strange. But I don't know who this is, but somebody wrote, "You're not being boastful, I promise." Well, that's very kind of you, whoever you are. If you want to let us know who you are, you have to click the link in the description in Facebook, and then you agree to let StreamYard, which is our streaming platform, tell us who you are. So sorry, whoever you are. So yeah, when are you a founder then? Let's go for that.
Yeah. So I don't really think that it's absolutely necessary to put your name on your plugin, or like to connect your name or your face with your plugin as I did. I don't think it's necessary. There are examples of lots of plugins that you can't really find out who is behind this plugin. Sometimes you can find out what company behind this plugin is called, but you can't find out who works there or something, and they have like enormous numbers of installs. It's absolutely possible, but I think it's just in my experience, especially when you're a small team or you're just starting out or you're working alone, just like I do, it's easier when you connect yourself with your product. I made like a small list of things why I think it's important to do, especially when you're just starting out or you're working on like by yourself or with a friend too. First of all,
would you like me to? Is it going to be on your screen? Do you want to share it, or you just want to talk about it?
I can just talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a few points. So first of all, you're letting people to know that you are committed for the long run, you know?
Yeah, that's the one, right? That's the single biggest. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
You know, when you're a big and well-known company, you don't have to prove you're committed for the long run. You don't need to do this. But when you're small and just starting out, people would like to know that you won't like vanish tomorrow. There won't be a situation when they install your plugin and something goes wrong and you never respond to them and never get back to them and never fix errors, or your plugin will break something on their website. They want like to have some trust in you. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I think that's and I go out looking for that when I go out looking for a plugin. Actually, David Wormsley taught me this, because prior to that, I was not as careful. But I've said this before, that the notion of going out and finding what the history of the people behind the plugin are. So, you know, not to distrust somebody who has no history, because it may be that you have a very short history, but you know, you're going to have time to mature into that role. But if you have got a history of doing things and demonstrating your credibility, and you know your name is attached to a slew of successful, really good, well-supported products, there's just no downside to that. Whereas if you hid behind, if you hid behind the name of your company and then you decided to go off and do something by yourself, you haven't got that opportunity to link yourself up with those products quite so easily. So yes, I agree.
Yeah. When it's a big company, you can put something like 1 million users trust us, or we have like 1 million installs during the last year, or our software fixed 1 million websites or something. You can use numbers. You can tell that here is our team, here is Joe, and here is Jane, and they are doing so and so. And when you're just starting out and you're alone, you don't have those advantages. You cannot tell that. Do you remember the Lean Canvas that we had?
Yes.
And in my canvas, there was there is a part in the Lean Canvas called unfair advantage, and in my canvas it was like one I.
It was you. I.
Yeah, and you said, why it's blank? It wasn't blank. It was the letter I. Like, I am unfair advantage. If you, just like me, don't have like some investments or team or history for a product, maybe you are an advantage, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that made sense to me because I then went on and copied your Lean Canvas and put me in it as well.
Right.
Yeah, so I thought the same, And that's a good point. If you so a name which comes to mind would be somebody like Pippin Williamson. So like the guy just produces rock solid software, and it's amazingly successful, and the support seems to be great. Another name that comes into my mind, although he's very different, he's not quite maybe so out there, would be Tom Osborne from GeneratePress, and just a track record of doing things right. And if either Pippin or Tom released anything,
exactly,
I'm gonna probably buy it just off the strength of them. Not necessarily even if I need it. I'll just be thinking, well, this would be something I'd tuck away, and it's going to be well developed and well maintained. So it does count for a lot. And I'm sure that just everybody who listens to this will have a little list of people who they totally take advice from and who they respect, and they would just buy stuff off them regardless. And once you've built that up, I always hear the phrase that it takes years to build that up, but you can destroy it in seconds. So I guess you've got to be a bit mindful of that. But once you've built it up, lovely.
Right. But I think, even before you're such a star that everyone knows about and just buy your products just because you released them, even before that, people will have more trust in you, in your product, knowing who is standing behind it,
Yeah.
So
and I guess if you're starting out like you are, and this A/B split test that we are, it's just a good idea to build that relationship. There's just no downside to that. The question, of course, I suppose, is how you build that relationship and what avenues do you go down. In my case, nothing to do with the plugin, but just in terms of this podcast, it was just a question of releasing content over and over again. And the Facebook group was really helpful. That was a really good thing. And I reckon it's a really good idea to make a community. Well, maybe you don't like Facebook, but I think it's quite a good idea to have a Facebook community surrounding your plugin, where people can come and ask questions, because most people are logged into Facebook at some point during the week. And if they're in your little community, they can go and get answers to that. And that really helped grow the WP Builds brand, if you like.
Right. And I would guess also consistency in doing stuff, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's really important. I mean, obviously, you could be consistent less frequently. Like you could do a podcast every month, or you could produce updates every month. But probably not a good idea to produce one 3 weeks, and then a 9-month break, and then 2 every other week, and then suddenly another 4-month break. That doesn't work. And I think one of the things that I look for when I go for plugins is the changelog. It's a bit nerdy, isn't it? But I do look at the changelog quite a lot. And I noticed there's quite a proliferation on certainly SaaS software of really pushing that down your throat nowadays. You know, there'll often be a what's new kind of like little bell or something on the homepage of the website, and you click it, and then you've got software that demonstrates all the updates that you've had recently. And, you know, if you saw that there were 3 in the month of August, this month just gone, I'm thinking, ooh. And then you scroll and you think, oh, 3 in that month as well, and another 3 there, 6 in that month. Oh, they had a month off, that's fine. It just lends credibility to it.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking about this like few episodes before. I just wanted to mention this long time ago, but because of this show, because of our talking about, because of us talking about this, I think I changed my approach to development of my plugin. You know, I became more thoughtful about the people who might check it out, and before I was thinking, why would I keep changelog or something? Like, there are no users, no one is looking at it, there is no point and stuff. But then we talked about this, and I started to do this like more nicely to sum up things that I'm doing, publish it on GitHub public repo and stuff. And you know what happened? Some people approached me and told me that they tried it and they liked it, and some told me about some errors or bugs. It's
Now, I don't know. Oh, sadly, we've not had a calamity like this before. Sabrina, I don't know if you can hear me, but we've lost touch with you. That is to say, you have frozen, but you're able, I hope, to know that if you refresh the browser, well, you do know that because you've done it before we've actually begun the call. But for the moment, it looks like we've lost Sabrina, unless maybe you've lost me. It could be that I've disappeared out of the call and Sabrina's just chatting away happily. I'm going to refresh. Sorry for anybody that's watching. Technical stuff goes wrong, right? I'm not gonna feel guilty about that. I can't do anything about it. But I'm going to refresh my browser, and I'll be back in a second. 1 second. It looks like Sabrina is gone. There we go. She looks like she's coming back. Hello.
I'm coming back. Yeah.
Yay.
I have no idea what happened, but I'm really sorry about
No, you just sort of froze. So you hadn't got too far into what you were describing. We probably lost about maybe the last 30 seconds. So I don't know if you can, in your mind, go back and rewind.
Yeah. So why calling yourself a founder and why connecting yourself to your product? The first thing was so people will know you are there for the long run. One of my other points that we started to discuss was that other developers will know that you are there for the long run, and they might want to check out your code, and they might want to check out your product, and maybe they come up with ideas of some collaboration or, I don't know, anything, you know. That's how it's going. Someone gets to know about what you are doing, and they have an idea of how you can do some cool stuff together. And it's not possible if you're not like known in person.
The thing about getting back to the sort of changelog thing, I think that's such an easy thing for you to do, because you are. I mean, usually it's a matter of sentences, isn't it? I don't think you need to get all flashy and put screenshots in necessarily. It's just 1.0.6. Here's some fixes. Here's some bugs that we squashed. Here's some new features that we added. One sentence for each, and you're off. And like you said, it's not something that you did at the beginning because it seemed like you didn't have an audience. But you can bet that by the time you get to version 3 something, that list will look really impressively long, and it'll be so good, and it'll sort of boast for you. It'll do the boasting for you so that you don't have to,
Right. I'm looking forward for that.
Yeah, version 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So people will know that you're there for the long run. Like my first point was that the other developers will know, right, that you are there for the long run. This helps you in development stuff. But also, your friends that know you in person, they will know that you are there for the long run, you know? I mean, some people like know you in person and they will be interested in what you are doing just because they know you and you're interested in you personally. That's what happened to me. That's why I had this idea of putting my face and my name into my plugin sidebar. Because before that, some reviews that my plugin got on WordPress.org repo, they were coming from my friends. I never asked for that, but they installed my plugin, they tried it, they liked it, and they were so nice to leave a review just because they know me and they wanted to do something for me, you know. And also the translation of the plugin. My plugin was translated into a few languages: German, Portuguese, Arabic. I can't remember what other languages. For the plugin that has 100 installs, I think it's not really usual.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And people who translated it, they know me in person. Like, I never asked for that as well. They just know me in person, and that's why they tried out the plugin. They saw it on my pages on somewhere, and it works.
When you held the screen up earlier, you showed your picture of yourself and what have you. Are you asking in that little box for some feedback? I can't remember what was included. Do you ask people to come and give you a review?
Yeah, I do. It said, "Hey, my name is Sabrina. I'm the author of this plugin. If you like it, I would really appreciate if you add your stars to spread the love. You can also help to translate it to your language so that more people will be able to use it. Cheers." By the way, I use all the services mentioned above because I'm mentioning some services above.
Oh, yes.
So,
yeah.
So that's what it says.
Do people, since you included that little box, I mean, maybe enough time hasn't passed and you can't honestly say, have you noticed a little uptick in people leaving reviews?
Not really. No. I added it like 2 months ago or something, and there were a few reviews. It's not like those numbers when you see like a jump or spike, you know. But like for now, it's 100 installs on WordPress.org repo, and it's got 15 reviews.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. 15% of the users, well, 15% of the install base have commented. It's quite likely it's on multiple sites, I would imagine. There's probably a few people who've got it in 2 or 3 places, so that's even better than 15%. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Do you rate? What a silly thing to say. Do you rate the ratings on WordPress.org? In other words, is that something you use as a litmus test when you go to the plugins? Because sometimes I feel, and I'm not suggesting in your case, but I think some of the big plugins, some of the reviews sometimes look a bit fake. And the reason I say that is because I had an experience not that recently, probably about 6 months ago, where I went to a plugin that was receiving a lot of attention. I'm not going to mention which one it was, but there were so many 5-star reviews that happened today and yesterday. And they were all from people who joined the WordPress.org repo like the day before.
Exactly.
And so it made me mistrust it a little bit. And obviously in your case, if people actually write it, and all that I was seeing here was star ratings. Nobody had put the time. There was an avatar and there was a star rating, and that was it. Nobody had spent the time to actually write the comment. But to me, that's when it starts to look real, is when somebody's clearly written a few paragraphs and it makes sense. Somebody spent the time on it. Then I start to take it much more seriously. If it's just a slew of 5-star reviews with picture, no words, I'm a bit suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. I think we were talking about this in 3rd episode or something, when we were talking about the collecting of the feedback out of the reviews and testimonials. I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I recently discovered that on WordPress.org repo, the plugin author can answer the reviews, which I
right,
think,
okay.
yeah. So when someone leaves a review to your plugin, you can answer to this review. For example, someone will leave review to my plugin and will say like, I like that it's doing so and so, and I would like to see it doing something else. And you can reply to that person and say, what do you think about this feature suggestion or something? So this is how the dialogue might start. That's actually how I started conversation with a few people. They were the reviews that they left. They were so broad. They gave me a few ideas what to do next. It was a few months ago, so some of them I already implemented the ideas from the reviews from before, you know. And we started to conversate and then switched to email. And I had like a few features suggested by people whom I don't know, who left a review because they liked the product. And yeah, and we started like talking about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that gives me, I don't know, I just feel good when somebody does that, when somebody makes the effort to reply to my comments. We have a very small following on YouTube. Not big, you know, lots of people have their own personal accounts which are significantly bigger than our WP Builds one, but I do take the time to reply, as far as I'm aware, to everybody who replies or leaves a comment or something. And I just think that's a nice thing that we can do, because there's not that many, it's just a few. But it gives me great pleasure replying, but I get such a great sense of achievement when somebody writes a comment on a video that, you know, is like 6 months old. I think, oh, that's nice. Somebody's actually watching this years or half a year later. And
not because I'm hoping it's you, right?
Yeah, and I'm also hoping, because I've replied to them, that will make them think, oh, this is, you know, nice guy kind of thing, and that always helps.
I think it's not about being a nice guy, but
no, that was the wrong words. I don't know why I said that.
Like to continue in the conversation, when you're not replying, it's like the person, like you are going down the street, someone says like, no, you meet a friend, and he says to you something nice, and you just pass through them. You know, you don't do that. You don't want to be that kind of person. And the same on the internet, when someone says something to you on something nice in the comments to your content, why not replying, right?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So other developers will, if you connect yourself with your product, other developers will know you are there, right? Your friends will know about that. And also, I was thinking, actually, your family will know about this. It's not something that's like widely discussed, but when you post something on Facebook or on Twitter and your family members see this, it's not a side hustle anymore, you know?
I am, my family don't have the faintest idea what I do. I just don't, there's just no connection. You know, they know that I do something with WordPress, but that's that's literally it. I just kind of shielded my children from the morass of boring conversations that could happen if I got them into WordPress. So, you know, it's not something that I have any exposure to at all. It definitely isn't. It's just me and my own little bubble, and my family are sort of, the two don't meet. And I personally, I like it that way. I'm happy to keep it that way.
Yeah, I was thinking like about the situation when your family members, they might not fully understand what you are doing, but when you are starting out something new, it's nice to have family supporting you and knowing that you are starting out something and it's going on. It's not like you posted about this once. It's ongoing process. You're starting it and you're like committed to it and you continue doing it. I think sometimes it might help.
Oh no, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. You know, and obviously there's going to be moments where things are not as straightforward and you might be getting frustrated, or you have to put in some extra hours and stay up late, and especially if you've got children, it would be it would be a good idea, I suppose, to have them on side and they understand what's going on. I don't know quite why I made the decision to go the way I did, but anyway, that's the way it's gone.
Yeah. And it all leads to the last my point that while it makes other people know that you are there for the long run, it also lets you know that you are there for the long run. You know, when you already announced to everyone, like, you are getting into this communication with other people. You are communicating with other developers about your products. You are communicating with people who tried your plugin. You're communicating with your friends who ask you, what is this about? And you are starting talking about this with other people, and it becomes more real, even if it's super small, you know, it becomes more real when you are talking about this with other people. And so like this step of connecting yourself with your plugin, it lets you to feel like that you are there for the long run, that it's something real, you know?
Yeah, it's a funny thing, you know, with software, there's nothing to hold.
Yeah,
there's nothing to like go, look, here it is. This is the thing that I've been making. You know, if you're a carpenter or something and you've made a chair, look, I've made a chair. Look, have a sit. Isn't it nice? It's comfortable. Whereas with a plugin, especially with people who are not, you know, maybe they're users of the internet and they're happy to just be a consumer of stuff on the internet, no interest in coding or any manner of technologies that might put the internet in front of us. Just you press a button and it just works. Having that sort of understanding and communicating with people around you is I think a really sensible idea. I hadn't really thought about it that way until just now, and you might be changing my mind. Maybe I'll leave this room in a few minutes and go and explain what's going on. Yeah, and they'll probably just tell me to stop talking to them about WordPress.
Yeah, I think it's like very important it's more important to us like working in this virtual, if you would like it, sphere than to anyone else, because something that we do, it doesn't feel real. Even if you see the numbers, if you see people like commenting and stuff, it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't feel real. Just like you said, like a chair or something. I love doing stuff with my hands, you know. I do lots of stuff. Actually, I'm in the middle of repairment of my kitchen.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna put new wallpapers soon. Yeah. Anyway, but this feels real, and software doesn't feel real. And to make it feel real, you have to do something, and other people talking about it and like discussing this, it brings like the sense of reality to what we are doing. I think sometimes, especially when you feel like not that energized or feel a bit low or something, it's important thing to have.
Yeah, you know, you're right. It kind of creates meaning for it, doesn't it? Because you can't hold it and you can't really see it as such. You can see the effects of it, but you can't really see the plugin. You know, you can see what it's doing on the front end and what have you. But having people talking about it, having a community around it, and you described maybe getting your family and friends into it as well, and maybe making some little milestones purposeful and meaningful. So in your case, maybe getting to 150 subscribers, installs, or 200, or whatever it is that you set, some little goal. Maybe you should set yourself up with like an actual real world treat if you get there, you know, and it'll urge you on, you know. I don't know, you're going to go out and do something a bit special, treat yourself to something if you manage to get there, and it drive you on and push you forwards.
Right. Yeah, that would be nice. By the way, in WordPress.org repo, there are like milestones for plugins.
Yeah.
And they go 10, 20, 30, and then they go like each tens, and then 100, and the next milestone is 200. So now my plugin is 100 installs, and the next milestone will be 200. So we'll see when it happens.
Okay. Well, when you get to 200, you've got to give yourself a treat. I won't ask. You can treat yourself in any which way you like, but you should do that. Bottle of wine, I don't know, day out by the lake or something like that. Just something nice.
I should think of the way of making this treat not as my usual life,
yeah. Just something a little bit special, and it would maybe drive you on. I mean, it's a bizarre thing to talk about, but it seems like quite a nice idea. That's lovely.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. So I was also thinking, connecting yourself with your plugin is the way to let other people and to let yourself know that you are committed for the long run, right? But I was also thinking, we discussed this a bit in the beginning, why it's so hard to do, even if some people don't want this publicity, but some people really would like it to happen, but they don't feel comfortable doing this. And I was thinking, why it's hard to do. And I had this thoughts. Maybe first of all, like, you treat this as a side hustle, like it's not a full-time job. I'm doing this like few hours a week or something. Why would I call myself a founder if I'm not like working full-time for this, right? I think it doesn't matter whether you work for full-time or part-time or just a couple hours a week for this. When you call it like a side hustle, it sets your attitude, like it's something meaningless or something. But if it's not important, if it's meaningless, why would you do that then? If you're doing this, it means something to you.
Yeah, it's a good point.
How many hours you work on it, even if you don't have an opportunity to work on it more than a few hours a week, right?
Would you give up your plugin if after a period of time there were no more installs? If 6 months from now it was, I don't know, let's say it was still on 100, or God forbid it had gone down to like 25 or something, would you find that a demoralizing thing, or would it not bother you? In other words, keeping a watch on those statistics, hoping that it'll always grow. I'm sure that there must be people who the opposite is true. They have a bit of growth and they feel this is great, getting excited about it, and then for some reason things stagnate, or maybe some competition comes along and knocks you off the perch. Just that.
I think it would happen even before 6 months.
Okay.
I don't think I can do something for 6 months or something without having like a positive feedback from it. If there is no growth, if there are no installs, what is the purpose of doing this? If no one like interested in that, no one wants it, no one finds it helpful.
Does it have to grow though? Does it have to? So let's say you get to, I don't know, let's say you get to 500 or 1,000, a really decent amount of people are using your plugin, but it doesn't really go up beyond 1,000, but 1,000 people are still using it, and you've got some conversation going, and there's clearly people who are invested in it and love it and use it on a daily basis. Does it have to grow? Is growth the key metric?
I think it depends very much on what plugin does. For example, if the plugin is an add-on or the integration for some third party or something, for example, like, I don't know, email sending service or something, and you're making plugin that is integration for this payment gateway or email service or something, and you see it growing and then it stops, maybe the reason why it stops, the platform, that third party itself, maybe it stopped growing. So like the market is limited by the market of the number of people who are using the initial platform. But for example, for the plugin that doesn't do something like this, like, I think it depends on the niche that you are having. For example, my plugin, it has like all opportunities to be super popular. Yeah,
you're in a rich vein.
Yeah. it has opportunities. It doesn't mean it will be, it doesn't mean anything at all, but it has like the potential of being like super popular, because like almost every developer, almost every site owner will be, I think, will be interested to know that his site is performing all right in terms of site speed, But there are some plugins that are just limited by other parties, by certain circumstances, and that's all right that it's not growing. Like there is not much that you can do about it.
Yeah, I think it's okay sometimes to experience like periods of stagnation.
Yeah,
I think it's part of the course.
I just need to grow to see the period of stagnation,
I see. Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
So small, I cannot see any periods of stagnation.
Yeah, that's a good point. You have to have growth before you can stagnate. There's no stagnation without growth. Yeah.
Right. So the other reason why it's hard to do, I think because you're afraid that the product that you're making might fail, and it will mean that you're a failure as well. Like,
I think that's totally true. I think I definitely feel that. I mean, I wouldn't take it particularly personally. I wouldn't feel that I am a failure, but I would feel a sense of remorse and sadness that it had failed. That you put in all this time and effort, and it came to naught, and there's nobody's coming along, and you just sort of feel a bit miserable about all the hours that you've wasted. And what a shame. I had such high hopes for it, and it didn't go where I was hoping for it to go.
Right. Yes. And even before announcing that you're working on something, you have this like tape movie playing in your head. All right, I will put all the efforts in it, and what if it fails? And everyone will know that I was doing something wrong, that I was working on something that failed in the end, Do
you know, this brings to mind a topic that we didn't get into at any point yet, which might be worth sticking in the roster, and that would be like MVP. Building out a plugin and launching it on the minimum that it could sustain itself with, and seeing if it's
like a little bit in the very beginning. But it's such an I think to think about, like on different stages.
I did a podcast episode which hasn't actually gone out yet with a guy called James Kemp, and it'll be out in a few weeks' time. And he was very clear when he launched his latest WordPress plugin that it was going to be exactly that. He was going to put in just enough to cross the line of usability. Yeah. And then as soon as it had crossed the line of usability and it gathered some audience, then he was going to decide, right, I will keep going with it, as opposed to, well, I'm going to make it the best it can be and then launch it, which might be great, could totally rock it, but it could be an absolute disaster. And so doing that is a good idea. And I know in your case, Speedguard, because you've got so many ideas of what you might like to do in the future, there must have been an aspect of that, of just, this is the minimum set of what I need for it to do. Let's push it out the door now, and let's grow it, get a roadmap going, and so on. So that might be a good topic. Yeah.
I think that we are running out of the time.
Oh, we are, sadly. Yeah. We're just over. Well, it's about an hour now. We're a bit late, aren't we ever? So we'll come back hopefully next week. I don't know if we've got next week plugged in, but if not, it'll be soon after that. Do you have in mind a topic yet, or are you going to contrive that between now and then? I
did have it in mind, but I got my tab closed and it's slipped out of my mind, unfortunately.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do that then. Let's just say sayonara for now. Thank you, those of you that were watching. Not so many comments today, but thanks for being part of it anyway, all those that were. There'll be people that watch it after we finish recording it, because after all, this is the middle of the working day, and if you're not a freelancer and you're stuck in an office, you can't probably get your boss to allow you to watch this, I wouldn't have thought. But Sabrina, thank you so much. I'm going to put the little slide up. We'll stick around afterwards and have a little bit of a chat, shall we?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you, Nathan. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And if you ever felt something like this before, like you have like hard times calling yourself a founder or a CEO or something, or connecting yourself with your product, would you mind sharing it with us in comments or somehow? Because we're interested to know.
Yeah, I certainly am, because I've got a chip on my shoulder a mile wide that I need to get over with this kind of stuff if I'm gonna have successful things going on. Right, thank you, Sabrina. I'll put on the slide. We'll say goodbye, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.